Merry meet, Annie here. One of my viewers suggested a way to settle back into catching up with who's out there and who's who and who's making comments and what's going on is that I should do the Get to Know Your Witches tag. This is a tag that was put out by Little Cosmic Crow, who I think is almost brand new, or at least not been around too long on YouTube. So of course, the first thing I did was go to Little Cosmic Crow's channel and happily subscribe to her. She is a delightful young woman, and if you haven't checked out her channel, I suggest that you do. And she came up with these questions as a way to learn more about folks in the community and for people to learn about her. And it's been going around for a while now, but my viewer said, it's not too late for you to join in, so I'm going to do that. It's 12 questions. And I'm looking down at notes, that's why I keep looking down. The questions are not, as I'm reading them, the full questions. On her video, she has a link where you can get actually how she phrased the questions. So please know I'm paraphrasing her questions. Does your sun sign portray you correctly? In general, it does. I'm a Libra. I seem to be pretty much what it says I am, as far as the things that I'm particularly fond of myself for, and also the things that are just challenges about being Annie. However, when my birth chart, my true detailed chart is done, it gets really interesting. My strengths seem to be pretty much the same, but my challenges feel like another person. Now, I had to really think about that, because one of my challenges as a Libra is my ego. Yeah, there's that. So I didn't know if I was not looking at myself accurately, but I could list a long list of the things that I did think were the less beautiful parts of who I am. But they didn't show up in my actual birth chart reading. To the point that I called my mom. Mom's in her late 80s, but she's still here, to say, Mom, do I remember my birth time correctly? Because I know how big a difference it can make. And indeed, I had it right. So it's been interesting. The person who helped me with my chart said the only thing I can really do is pay attention to whether there's shades and shadows of those things that show up that I'm not acknowledging. The couple people who've done my chart who know me well also are a little confused about that. So it's interesting for me when it comes to that kind of thing. Cosmic Crow asked, what songs give you magical vibes? I do use music in my rituals, the ones I do for myself, and I like to use it also when I'm doing a public ritual or with other people. I have two pieces of music that I tend to use a lot. Instrumental mood kind of music is important to me. I have a whole collection of them. So I thought of two examples, which are Black Hawk Down from the movie, the theme from that movie. It might seem like a strange thing to have as a piece of music that moves me, but if you listen to it, you might see what I mean. The other one is Elysium from The Gladiator. Obviously, to me, a lot of the music in Gladiator, which was not a favorite movie of mine, but the music just amazing music. But Elysium especially. What I use when I'm just playing music in the background from rituals, personal ones, evocative, emotional, mood-setting music with no lyrics. When I hear lyrics in English, I get distracted. It's one of the reasons why I like kirtan so much, which I mentioned in my second coming back video. Because you're chanting in a language that's not yours, or you're listening to chants that are not yours. And I get taken away on the emotion of the chanting and don't get distracted by the words. That's the kind of music that gives me magical vibes. Which of your deities, guides, or ancestors is most sarcastic? Deities, I have encountered sarcasm from the crone. Kind of the pat on your head, oh dear little grasshopper, you have a lot to learn kind of sarcasm. And I've experienced some sarcasm from the god. In most of his forms, actually, because he seems the one that will challenge my human foibles. Ancestors, well, it's the woman I'm named after, who I named myself after. Annika, she's Annika. And she was a real woman in the 1600s, the first of my bloodline who came to the United States, obviously, not the United States then. And she She calls me out. She will speak to me and she won't accept bullshit or a storyline from me. And she holds me very accountable. And she's actually appeared to close people, people I love, with the same kind of mindset. I don't know what she was like when she was really here, or whether this is how she is on the other side. But definitely, Annika, sarcasm is not something that's really known as part of the Dutch mentality, but it appears that at least in the afterlife she is. What about a witchy mess up or a misinterpretation? Well, I couldn't tell you about that because I probably would have to go on and on because I've had a lot of years of practicing my craft. But I did think of all the things that were coming to my mind. There was themes, 2 themes. The first theme is when I make it all about me and don't consider the bigger picture, and when I do something too quickly without thinking it through. I'm not saying instantaneous workings are necessarily bad. They are bad for me, and I have taught students not to go that route, to give things a lot of thought and consideration in order to be properly aligned before they do a working. So when I've goofed up, those are the 2 reasons I can tell you I did goof up. Ego got in the way. It was all about me, and I didn't think about what it might mean to a situation or others, or even something as big as the ether, that my energy gets out there. And also, when I've done something just without giving it proper thought. Would you write a book? If you have, what are your challenges? Yep, I'm in the middle of publishing the 4 volumes for the Season of the Seeker for each element. Each is going to be the book workbook combined, so all the work can be done within the book. That's the result, if you don't know, of the way I was taught and the way I then taught. So a lot of my own style and changes over the years. Offered it as a course for a year. It's a year-long program. And the folks who took the course, and it was probably 300 or so, they got a video from me and they also got a handout. Well, the handouts actually combined to make the books that I'm working on. What I find interesting is I loved putting it together. I loved doing it. I loved the engagement with the folks who were traveling that journey with me. That's a lot of people, and I met beautiful new people and got to know old friends better. But when that's done, and I'm thinking about publishing, and it's self-publishing, I have no interest in dealing with the crap of a publisher or anybody else's expectations of me. The hard work of editing and the mechanics of creating the actual book. I'm working through Lulu, which is actually pretty easy to do. But let's just say I find no joy in it. And I guess that's why it's taken so long to get done. Let's see. 5 things that... Oh, this one was fun. 5 things that someone would have to have in order to summon you to a circle. So I'm not there, I assume. I'm on the other side. And you're going to summon me to your circle. Well, thank you for thinking of me. What would you need to summon me? You'd have to have properly called the 4 quarters. I don't think even on the other side I would come to a circle that didn't have proper representation of the elements and the wisdom of the elements. And I'm assuming even after I'm no longer here, I'm going to have a relationship with my guardians for the 4 quarters. So if you've properly called the elements, I can tell you my guardians are going to be there. So there's 4 things you need to do. And the 5th thing, if you've done that, and you call out my name in love, you got me. You got me. I don't know how I'm going to appear in your circle. I know I'll respond to that vibration, but I just have a sense that, I don't know if it's all my lives or this one, that when I move on, I'm just going to move on. That I may not be as present in this world once I've moved over. Maybe it's because I'm so curious about what comes next that I'm just all about that. But I think if you have a circle, I don't care how you cast it or what your tradition or practice is, where you've honored the elements appropriately and the wisdom of the elements, as well as their natural nature, call my name out in love. That ought to do it. Let's see, if you were a ghost, where would you haunt? Well, I just told you that I'm pretty sure I'm out of here when I'm out of here this time. And I don't mean that I'm out of here in the sense that I've evolved to the point I'm not going to come back again. I mean, I just feel like whoever I am in the greater sense of who I am, I do what I got to do in a lifetime and then I move on. And no matter how many loved ones I leave behind, it's their life then, no longer mine. So, any hauntings I might do are not going to be human-centric. I do wonder, though, I would miss the beauty of the earth so much that I would wonder if I would want to return in some kind of spirit form to the places that I love and the places that have inspired me. Now, hey, there could be a duplicate or similar energies for them on the other side, in which case I don't have to worry, do I? But if I were going to come back, I think it would be the beauty of Earth, Gaia, and the oneness of everything that's here that would call me back, just in case I can't duplicate that experience on the other side. Let's see. Funnies regarding a way someone reacted to finding out you're a witch. I don't have any funny stories about that, except one that I thought was really, really cute. Interesting stories, sometimes uncomfortable stories, but one fun one was, I was like 40, and my goddess daughter was about 20. I think she was like early years in college. And when she went to college, she started encountering other Wiccans. I wasn't one she knew. And so she knew a little bit about what I did because she asked questions. It was the time at which probably Silver Raven Wolf was coming out. So as a young woman, she probably read that book, and we talked and everything else. So I went to an event at her college, and a friend of hers came into the dorm room. And she said to her friend, "This is my Aunt Ann. She's the one I told you was a Wiccan." And her friend looked at me like this, kind of snapped their head and looked at me and said, "Wow, you don't look like a witch. You don't look cool at all." First thing is, I didn't know kids used the word cool, but that's what she said. And I just got a big kick out of that. I looked like her grandmother instead of what she perceived a witch might look like. And I thought that was funny. If not funny, it was cute. Do you have superstitions? My gut answer was to say, no, I do not. But then I thought about the fact that there are so many things that I have to do in a certain order because I expect a certain outcome because of that. Now, if that's not superstitious, I don't know what is. So maybe the answer isn't that gut no, but probably yes. Something random on your altars. That one caught me off guard because, there's not much randomness with my altars. They're formalized, they're stylized, and they're pretty much set. The only thing that shows up on my altars that varies really, is whatever I find in nature, walking about. So there might be a feather or a stone or a seashell or something that ends up there. That really doesn't even have anything to do with a working or a reason to be there, so much that it just pleases me, and I had that moment of oneness that you often get when you're appreciating beauty. Other than that, my altars are kind of predictable. I can't think of too many odd things that have been on it. 3 wishes from a YouTube genie. Okay, that was if there was a YouTuber that could grant you. They were a genie and they could grant you 3 wishes. What would they be? This probably comes from current perspectives of dealing with health problems and also the natural things that happen as you get older. Health. If I could wish for something, it would be health. And the other thing is, I was trying to find the right word for it. I was thinking peace of mind, but that's too intellectual. It's more a sense of a feeling of being at ease, at being in a place of harmony and balance. I'm pretty good about that a good part of the time, but the world interferes. My concerns for the world interferes. And I'm out of balance. And the ability to have that peace of mind. So body and mind were the 2 things that I had a specific request for. I honestly couldn't think of a third request that wouldn't seem a little trite. This might seem trite to you, but those 2 things that I asked for myself, I would ask for them for every single human being. Because I'd like to imagine a world where we all felt healthy and safe and in such a good place that we didn't need to defend who we were, take aggressive stances, and be better than anyone or anything else. If you were going to become an expert in any part of your craft, what would it be? Well, that one was an easy one for me because not too long ago I began studying Kabbalah. And I love it. It is speaking to my soul. And any of you who have taken it seriously, actually gone into study of it, not just casually looked at it, you know that once it gets you, it got you. Hook, line, and sinker, you're drawn in. Some of the people who are suggesting topics for my videos suggested I do something along that line. If I do, it's going to be a simplistic interpretation of each of the spheres on the tree. My first gut reactions and how they present themselves to me, because if you are a Kabbalist, you know this. I have a long, long way to go, and I cannot put into words some of the things I'm currently experiencing. So I can see doing something simplistic as maybe an introduction for those who know nothing. Maybe they'll then get intrigued and end up in the same spot I'm in. I've got years and years and years to be a student of this particular thing. And I think this is the last one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, that's a little bit interesting. In 5 years, I'll be 71 years old. First thing is, I sure hope I'm still here. 70 is not old nowadays. I'm not writing myself as an old lady 5 years from now. But when I say I'm still here, what I mean is I hope I still have curiosity and a questing nature and an open mind and enthusiasm for life. That nothing happens in 5 years that makes me feel like I'm on the downhill slide of life. I'm not there now. I'm very positive about who I am, and I love every moment of my 66 years. And if I were going to see myself in 5 years, I don't want to say I want to see myself the same as now. I want to keep growing and evolving. But there are certain things about my attitude, about aging, that I hope doesn't change in my 70s, hasn't changed in my 40s, 50s, or 60s, and I hope it doesn't change in my 70s. So there is my answers to Get to Know Your Witches. And please do stop by Little Cosmic Crow's channel. Give her some love and like her videos. And I think you'll enjoy it too. I think you'll enjoy spending time there. If you've done this, let me know. In the old days when you could link videos, it was kind of cool because you could have conversations within our text underneath our videos. I don't think, except for 2 of you, when I looked at those of you who made comments on my first video, I think I saw 2 responses. But if you've done a response and just want to mention it to me, I want to make sure I go check it out. Okay, that was fun. And I'm learning a lot about witches I'm watching who are answering those questions. And I think it's wonderful. It was a whole set of different questions than some of the Get to Know You ones that have been around before. I hope it served Cosmic Crow in helping her understand, who was watching her videos. It certainly helped learn a bit about her, watching her when she answered her own questions. Until the next time, I wish you all mirth and reverence, merry part,